In 2007, the government of the Hongkou District in Shanghai renovated the former Ohel Moshe Synagogue and renamed it as the Shanghai Jewish Refugees Museum. The purpose is to commemorate the over 20,000 European Jews who found safe haven in the city, which allowed them to escape the Holocaust and the Nazis' persecution during World War II. On the main floor is the synagogue, which had been used by the Jews for prayers, congregation, and other services since 1927. While the synagogue now still contains a Torah ark cover and a reader's platform, it does not have a Torah scroll or prayer books, so the synagogue can no longer be used for prayer services. A mezzanine and second floor were used for both permanent and temporary exhibits. The first Jewish immigrants came to Shanghai in 1848, and they built some of the city's landmark buildings. Then the Russian Jews arrived after the October Revolution, 1917, in Russia. During the Second World War, Shanghai provided refuge to more than 20,000 Jews from Germany, Austria and Poland seeking an asylum from Adolf Hitler and the Nazis' persecution. In the 1930s, Nazi Germany encouraged the German and Austrian Jews to emigrate or face persecution and harsh punishment. But most countries turned a blind eye and closed their borders to them, Shanghai and the Dominican Republic being the only exceptions. Shanghai, which did not require a visa to enter, accepted more than 20,000 European Jews, the most of any city in the world. One particular person of note at the museum is Jacob Rosenfeld. The Austrian-Hungarian Jew served as a field doctor for the Communist People's Liberation Army under Chairman Mao Zedong. Rosenfeld, nicknamed by the Chinese as the Big-Nose Doctor, also became known as the Buddha Savior because of his exemplary services in the Chinese military during the Japanese invasion of China. Another person honored at the Shanghai Jewish Refugees Museum is Feng, the Chinese consul general in Vienna. In the late 1930s, he issued thousands of exit visas to Austrian Jews, risking his life and career, and acting directly against the orders of his superiors. Although oceans apart, the two individuals, one Chinese and one Jewish, Feng and Jacob Rosenfeld, are both celebrated at the Shanghai Jewish Refugees Museum outdoor courtyard, each honored with a bronze bust. There's a special exhibit titled Anne Frank, A History for Today. From 1942 to 1944, a little girl wrote a diary detailing the life of her family hiding in secret in Nazi-occupied Amsterdam, until they were caught and sent to the German concentration camp of Bergen-Belsen, where she died of typhus at the tender age of 15. After the war, the Anne Frank diary was published and translated into 70 languages. Her work told the horror of the Holocaust from a unique perspective and showed the world the unyielding human spirit of courage, endurance and creativity, even in the face of an unimaginable evil.
Nobody invited us. We didn't ask anybody for permission. But Chinese people tolerated us. Nobody said, listen, we don't have enough to eat, get out. You're taking away from us. They didn't. Yeah, they didn't. And eventually it became a good symbiosis. One lived off the other and benefited from the other. And the Chinese tried to befriend us.
Just before the Second World War, the Shanghai Jews were stateless refugees, but they were able to build a lively and thriving community with businesses, schools and even theaters and cabarets. Yet in 1943, the occupying Japanese army forced them to relocate to an area of less than 1 square miles in the city's Hongkou District. As a result, more than 50 people were often jammed into the same room, causing horrendous sanitary problems. Despite the dire living conditions, many in the Jewish ghetto still regarded Shanghai as their Noah's Ark. The Jews were happy to be alive and escaped the Holocaust and the anti-Semitic persecution of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party that was going on in Europe. An area commemorating the 1993 state visit by former Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin was set up in the outside courtyard of the Moshe Synagogue. Rabin made a declaration at the time to the people of Shanghai for unique humanitarian act of saving thousands of Jews during the Second World War. Thanks in the name of the government of Israel. The Hongkou District government took painstaking care to restore and renovate the Moshe Synagogue and adjacent areas, according to the original blueprint found in the archives, to preserve its original internal and external architectural details. The museum was finally opened to the public in 2007 and it quickly became a popular tourist attraction for both Jews and non-Jews. Nowadays, there are guided English and Mandarin tours run by volunteers at various times. In 2014, the museum unveiled a 34-meter (112 feet) bronze wall monument, which included 13,732 names of those who harbored in Shanghai during World War II. And not just names but also testimonies as well, such as one from Betty Grebenshikov. She wrote, "Shanghai became my home and in spite of the economic and medical difficulties that we faced, I will always be grateful to China for giving my family and me refuge, when so many other countries refused to do so." There is also a memorial statue commemorating the Jews of Shanghai. The sixth person that appeared on the relief sculpture represents the 6 million Jews that perished in the Holocaust. One of them carries the menorah, which symbolizes the eternal light that has guided the Jewish people throughout history. The artwork also reflects an Exodus theme, which permeates the Jewish experience, dating back to the time described in the Old Testament, when Moses led the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. The memorial was designed by Chinese artist Ning. As of October 2018, the surrounding areas of the Shanghai Jewish Refugees Museum continue to be preserved and upgraded, and will become part of the Tilanqiao historic area. Most of the old neighborhood buildings in the Jewish ghetto were demolished to make way for more high-rises. However, across the street from the museum on Changyang Road is a coffee shop as it has been in the old days. The Shanghai Ghetto was officially liberated on September 3, 1945. Soon after that, the majority of the Jewish population in Shanghai have emigrated to other countries. By 1957, only 100 remained. Many of the Jews who returned to Europe founded the modern State of Israel. Jacob Rosenfeld left Shanghai in 1949 and eventually settled in Israel to be reunited with his brother, after he found out that most of his relatives in Europe had died in the Holocaust. A quote from Elie Wiesel, winner of the 1986 Nobel Peace Prize and Holocaust survivor, was featured in the Shanghai Jewish Refugees Museum. It said, "The past is in the present, but the future is still in our hands."
Bis wann es wird ein Mensch ein Reus von